Welcome everyone to another topic on Mockito JUnit tutorial here. Now in this one we are going to talk about like how exactly we can use both Mockito and JUnit here to go for the unit testing. But before even talking about these two tools here, let's focus on to understand like what is exactly a unit testing here. Now there are various kind of testing which is actually available into our particular industry and into our software testing world there. But yes, there is a very important scope and a position of the unit testing here. So unit testing is something which we also call is an kind of a component testing, is actually a software testing technique in which single component of a software is being tested. We are not talking about like how exactly our application is going to interact with other applications and it's going to interact with it's not a complete full-fledged application testing. So in this case what we are looking forward is like this is something in which we are focusing on how exactly we can only validate and test out a single component. A single component is what we are basically talking about over here, right? And when we say like how exactly we want to perform, we want to achieve the setup here. So this is the main mechanism, or this is the main kind of testing which an individual developer performs at its own end to see like whatever the piece of source code he's writing, whether it's working fine as expected or not. So this is where we are able to see like the exactly what we are trying to achieve here and how a full-fledged or a basic testing validation can be done. Now the main objective of this unit testing is to pick a unit, a very basic small unit of the source code, to verify it so that it will be the moment the developer develops the code base, at that moment of time only this thing will be validated and will be fixed on. So this is something which we are looking forward over here to achieve, like how the automation needs to be done and needs to be achieved over here in this case. Next thing is what exactly is the mocking here. Now we talked about like JUnit here, but next one is like what exactly we are talking about as in a particular mocking over here. Now when we talk about mocking, so we are basically trying to understand like what exactly we are performing, for what purpose we are going for the mocking process here. So mocking refers to the development of objects which are mock or clone of real objects. They are not the exact objects, or we can say like that's not the exact scenario which we are going to implement, but it's kind of a duplicate, or it's kind of a temporary mocks which we are creating so that we will be able to get it implemented. So mocking is something which is kind of a reference or a kind of a clone of an existing or a real object here. So in this technique, what happens that the mock objects are being used instead of the actual real object. So it's not like we are directly or we are going to access the exact real objects over here. So we are talking about like using or going through the specific mock objects over here in this one. So that's where we are putting up the main focus, right? And mock objects actually give a particular output for each and every input. Whatever the inputs you are going to provide, you are going to get a particular desired output. So the mocking is going to process all these inputs, give you the desired output, and to understand like how the implementations and the setups can be done, right? So for this kind of mocking process, mocking framework is something which is quite popular. So Mockito is one of the framework which is available there, which is desired for this kind of work or this kind of approach only, where we are trying to see like how we want to perform a mocking implementation over here, right? So let's talk about the Mockito tool, because that's a primary tool which is there for the mocking activity, and we have already focused on like mocking is a process in which we are trying to process the mock objects rather than the real objects. So that's kind of verification here. So Mockito is a kind of a Java-based framework which is being used for doing the unit testing on the Java application. So if you have written the source code in Java programming language, then Mockito is a kind of a framework for you. So this is something which is helpful for validating the development of the kind of application source code here. So you will be able to validate that how your application is going to behave and it's going to work. So when we talk about Mockito over here, so it basically gives you a variety of information, like what exactly approach you are looking forward and what is the end result you are trying to establish over here. So that's the main focus of the Mockito which we are going to get, and it's for the basic approach over here. So Java Reflection API is basically used internally to generate the mock objects. That's a core component, you can say, like the backbone of this whole mocking approach over here. Mockito is used to simplify the test development by mocking the external dependencies and using them in the source code. So it's kind of a blending in the whole environment there, so that your application is going to get the desired environment, and being in that environment, it can start processing the inputs and then give the desired output accordingly. So this is what we are trying to implement as such over here, to see like how exactly this mocking can be done, and Mockito can really help us in this approach here. Right now, what are the different prerequisites which we require to learn Mockito? So we basically need two important prerequisites over here. First of all, we need the hands-on experience in Java programming language. So Java programming language is very important, because Mockito is something which we can write in the Java programming language. It uses the Java programming language syntax, so that's a very important thing there to be considered. And second one is the JUnit framework implementation. So these two things we basically require for performing a complete full-fledged Mockito approach or mocking testing over here. So these are the two important components, or you can say like the two core prerequisites which we need to process before going for the Mockito implementation. Right, so let's go to understand like how Mockito framework can be configured in Eclipse, because Eclipse is the prime tool for creating the development source code for the Java programming language. So we need to see like how we can configure the Mockito framework over there, because that's the single IDE which will be utilized by the developers there. So let's go ahead into that. In this demo, we are going to talk about like how we can create a simple JUnit and Mockito related program over here, so that we can have a basic project created, and we can also have some basic program created on that part. So let me open the Eclipse here. Now in this one, what I'm going to do is like, first of all, I'm going to create a Maven project. Once my Maven project is created, then I'm going to include Mockito and JUnit related dependencies. And after that, I'm going to write a very small source code just to see like how exactly our dependencies are getting resolved, and my source code, which will come up as an error earlier, will come up as an healthy over there. So all I have to do is like, I have to just right click over here, new, and here I need to go for project. Like I want to go for a particular Maven project here, so I can expand the Maven over here and go for Maven project. Here it will basically ask me certain values. I want to use the default workspace location, so I'll just say next. Then I want to have it I want to go ahead with this overall process. So these are all projects, like what exactly architecture type you want to go. So I can just go for the default, whatever is selected, I can just go with that. And here I will be providing like what is a group ID. So I can provide a group ID called com.simplylearn, or depending on your organization you can actually provide it. So here I can provide Mockito, and the version will be like this, and this is the same way like how the project will also be created. The package will be created in case of the project here. So then I'll just say finish, and on the left hand side I will be able to see like my specific source code which is available there. So this is something which is going to come up over here. So it's actually trying to resolve some of the particular options, like some of the the components, like test executions, those are required over here. So I'll just go for this particular resolution later on. Right, so I'll just open this pom.xml file here, and this is the pom.xml file. Right, so it's basically looking forward for certain changes like this jar file. So this jar file is not actually available over here. So once I ran the build and those kind of setup can be done, then it will be able to download those particular dependencies. So if you right click on this one, you will be able to see that particular Maven build option here. So I can just run the Maven build, or I can just run the Maven clean here. So according to that, the Maven will be downloading certain plugins, and it's just trying to do some particular process over here. So on the left hand side, the source, main, test, the same package which is available there, the same packages is coming up there. So app test is available there. So here the test is being available here. I can see like some couple of JUnit related test cases is already being there. Like I created a kind of a sample project. So in here, a basic Java and a basic class file or a test suite is already being available here. So all I have to do is like I have to just try to see like if I can go ahead with this executions there. Now it's using like JUnit 3.8.1 over here, so I can definitely go for a version which is higher, like around JUnit 4 or 5 there. But let me try to do a clean build over here, Maven build over here, so to see like if it really works on there. So what are the goals I need to do? I need to go for the goals called clean install. So that's a goal which we need to do here. So MVN will automatically be resolved there, but clean install is the goal which I want to look forward over here. So let's see like what it really happens. So it's going to download some couple of plugins, whatever the plugins I'm trying to provide here. Some dependent plugins will be downloading, so all that stuff will be downloaded. This is the first time we are running there, so that's why it may download some little bit more jar files than expected ones. Not, you must have seen like these are all jar files. It's not like something we are using into our project, but these are kind of jar files which is being used by the plugins, by the Maven itself. So for that purpose, it's actually going to that particular level. But once these are cached up there, next time if you do the run, if you do any kind of builds there, you are not going to see all these entries. So let me rerun the build here to show you like how clean the output would be there. So I can just go for clean install again and say run, and this time the output will be a little bit less there. So in this case, as you can see, if I expand the output, so here first of all it ran, like it performed the clean activity, then it compiled my source code here, it also compiled my test cases here in this one, then my test cases got executed over here. So you can see like it's something which got executable over here. So this is the test which is available. I can click on that and I can see that, and after that it went on and prepared the final artifact here, which also means like it performs both the compilation and the test cases execution. And this is what we are doing in any kind of Maven project, and on top of that I'm using a JUnit related frameworks. So this is a mechanism where we can have some dependencies, like I can go for JUnit here, I can increase the dependencies, I can try out the build, so all that stuff I can do here, right? And one more dependency which I can include is of the Mockito here. So I can include the Mockito related dependency also over here, so that we can see like how exactly the response is coming up there. So you can see like it's when I go for the resolution over here, like clean build, clean install, so I can just go ahead with this. So this time it's actually going for the Mockito one. So you can see like all the steps has been executed and we have got the end result. So the build is successful and I have got the test cases also. So this is the test file where I'm actually loading up some JUnit related executables there. So I can just go with that and whatever the activity assert we are using over here, so using which we can do the comparison. So this is a way like how a basic project can be created in Maven, and on top of that how we can manage the dependencies for Mockito and for JUnit here. Right, so that was a demo in which we talked about like how exactly we can configure Mockito into our Eclipse here. Now let's see like when exactly we require the Mockito to be implemented. Now in this case, what happens like when exactly you feel like you need to have a Mockito implementation, or how we can go for the Mockito implementation altogether here. So for example, when a component is to be tested, or a single unit needs to be tested, so this unit or component actually depends on some other component which is kind of in development process, or maybe some other developer owns that component, and you are not exactly validating that component, you are validating your own component. But since it's actually dependent on other component or some other unit of the whole application, so that's the reason where you may not be able to perform the end-to-end testing. But yes, with the help of Mockito, you will be able to get the mock objects so that you can perform the testing there. You don't have to held up with that other component dependency. You can resolve all these dependencies like that, and you can just proceed further with your verification and your implementation. So this is the main benefit which you get when you talk about the Mockito, so that you can see that a full-fledged understanding like how exactly these different components are going to be processed here, right? And when there is any kind of concern, like if you know, like if you feel like there are some infrastructure components which is making the testing impossible, so in that case also we can use the Mockito to mock some infrastructure components so that we can proceed further with the validation and the testing here. So all the hindrances and all the problems which we normally face when we talk about the implementation, all those things can be really implemented with the help of Mockito here. So that's a main benefit which you get over here in this one. Now let's talk about the next concept. So the next concept which we have is, what exactly is a stub? Very important concept here. So stub is a kind of object which holds up a predefined information, a predefined data. We cannot do a kind of a dynamic verification in case of unit testing, because we have to limit the scope of testing. We are putting up some inputs over here just to see like how our application is going to behave. These predefined data will act like inputs, and the test cases are going to process these inputs and give us the desired output. So these outputs we will be then analyzing to understand that how our application is going to behave, or in other terms like how application is reacting to these inputs, so that we can get an end-to-end desired output as such here. Also, it can be referred to as an object that looks like exactly a carbon copy of a real object. Of course, it's not a real object, it's a kind of mock object over here in this one, but it will give you the exact different details, or you can say like the exact output as such over here in this one. So that's a main benefit which we get with the Stub, that it helps us to get a mock object instead of the real object, so that we can get ahead with the testing and we can get all our environment for our test executions there, right? And stubs actually they can actually return the specific output here, like whatever the output you require, so that will be returned over here. Whatever the inputs you provide, that is going to be processed by this one, and the desired output will be provided to you over here in this one. Now these stubs are used to reduce the complexities, right, so that occur while creating the real object. So that's also the complexity which is going to be reduced when we talked about the these specific stubs as such here. So whenever we talk about the stubs, we talk about the implementation. So this is where the complexities get reduced when we talk about the replication or the mocking of the real objects here, right? So let's talk about like how we can see the stub in real action, so that we can get a better understanding, because from there we will be able to know like what is the main importance of stub in the whole mocking approach here. So let's go ahead with that. In this demo we are going to talk about like how we can create some prerequisites for testing out a stub here. So I'm going to create a required Maven project and a couple of class files over here to make a kind of environment so that we can test it out the stub implementation in Mockito. So first what I need to do is like I need to just go ahead with a Maven project. So Maven project is what I need to create. A very basic project I want to create over here. You don't have to do much of the changes, like not much things you need to talk about over here. So the package direction, I can make it like okay, I just want the particular package. If you don't want to have the package and you want to directly store the source code in source main Java, and you want to put the class directly over there without having any kind of particular com and all that stuff, so you can do that also over here in this case. So that will be much faster. So then you can just go for the finish here, and you will be able to see like a project created, like a source main Java, then this particular package name is there, and source test Java is also there. So here is the test file, here is the main file. I can go ahead with this one, I can create a file over here. You can pretty much do that stuff also. So or you can change like this existing one also. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to create a new class file here. So I'm going to say like okay, create new class file. and in this one I'm going to put the particular class name and a specific content. So let's see like how exactly we can go. So we can go for a particular class creations as such here, or we want to create so one class and one interface we want to create, so that we will be creating over here. So I'm going to create an interface here, right? So to service, so that's the interface name which I'm trying to provide here. And in this one I'm just pasting the content. So this is already configured here, so I just have to configure like this, right? So then I'm just going to resolve this one, so the java.util.list is also resolved. So this is the to-do service.java which is available there. Now what I have to do is like I'm just trying to create it over here, and I'm just trying to create another class file over here in this one, so which is like my to-do business impl over here, which will be using this interface, right? So I'm going to create a particular class file in this one, and we are going to create it. Okay, great. So in this one again I'm going to paste this content, so I have to just sync this one. So this is what, so I have to just rename it a little bit of this one, so I have to just rename as an particular this as a 2 over here. Great. So now I'm pretty much done here. So whatever the imports are required, I can actually go ahead, just this delta I want to remove it, and here we go. So we are creating a particular to-do service mechanism over here in this one. So we are also talking about the list here. So these list I can go for the auto resolution here, so I'm just going to save it, and then I'm going to see like for to do here. So to do is something which is coming up as a particular service here, so a little bit changes in this interface also. So I can you just have to sync it on the names. So whatever name you are using, so that you need to change over here in this case. So here also in to do service I have got it renamed, so that's where it got successfully resolved. And as far as the error list is confirmed, so I can just import that also. So I'm just done here. So if you by chance change this class name, then you change the Java file name also accordingly there, so that you will be there in proper sync up over here. So that's something which is available there, which we can use to see like how the implementation can be done, and that's a basic output which you're getting over here. Now this is where we have got all the required source code available there when we will be testing out the stub. So at that time we can actually use these one interface and one class over here. So this class is basically going for the interface call over here in this one, and that's how it's going on the implementation. So we'll come back during the testing, during the verification of the stuff. At that moment of time, this will act as a kind of basis for us here. So this is a kind of basic structure that how you create a basic program or a basic source code over here in this one. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to just create these stubs over here in this one to test it out, to validate the things there. So last time we created the Java source codes there. Now the stubs we will be creating over here in this one. Then we are just trying to create, first one is for the to do service. So to do service stub, so that's the name which I'm going to use, and just finish it off. And I'm just going to put the content over here. So just in order to try out the particular matching over here in this one. So to do stub is what we are trying to implement, so that's what we are going to see here. So I'm just going to remove this mechanism, so I'm able to see like all the imports is working fine. In this case we are just trying to put some a dummy information. So you can see like this is the array, this is the array list content which we are trying to provide over here in this stub. So we are basically trying to understand like how in the mocking activity we are trying to mock some particular inputs here, so that my stubs will be able to pick those up and they will be able to return those there. So that's what we are trying to do here. Now as far as this stub is configured, this is done. So we have to go for another stub here which will be there for the to do business IMPL. So we have to create this one for that particular implementation. So we have to put the content over here in this one to put the do business IMPL stub here, right? So I'm going to paste the content here just to match up the things. So I have to just put this content here. So I have to just rename this one, because even if we create some file, sometimes we may have to rename it. So that, keeping in mind, I can just put this one here and say okay, and I'm just going to remove this component here, and here we go. So we have got like these components, like this is something which is available there. We have got the implementations which we are trying to do. We have got to do service and to do service stub both here, but these are the kind of wrong interfaces. So ideally my interfaces is com.Simplilearn.stub. So that's where we have got the particular to do service over there, and similarly here also we have got the particular ones which is available, so which is also there in the specific com.Simplilearn.stub.to-do service stub here. So this is a mechanism where we will be able to find out. Even if I don't give this import, that's totally fine, because I'm already there in that package, so I can just refer it from there. And we also have the JUnit related ones which is available there. So we are getting the errors for the JUnit components over here in this case. So we also have the pom.xml file here in which my JUnit is being utilized. So in this one we are basically trying to use some references around the JUnit here, so you can get it on board on that case. So I can just try to run on the particular Maven build here to see like if all the dependencies are getting implemented, so that we will be able to download some required dependencies. So clean install, again I'm going to just refer it over here. I can just run the specific test also, like if I feel, but I'm just trying to download some couple of components over here in this case. So if there is any kind of issues which you are getting during the execution, so you will be able to see over here, for instance like org.junit does not exist over there, right? So since these packages are not downloaded or not installed, so that's why you're getting the issues as such over here in this case, right? So these are the references which is available there. I can just go ahead and import some of the JUnit related ones in this case. If I feel like I want to run it, so I can run this Java file also over here. This file also I can run it over here, right? So those are different options which is available which we can utilize in this case. So I'm just adding the JUnit 4 library so that my all references related to JUnit should be resolved here, and the moment I picked up that one, you can see like all the errors related to JUnit is gone. Now I can run my build here to see like if it's getting successful. So this time, okay, so it's going for that particular mechanism, so I can change the specific version as in 4.0. let's see, like it's getting resolved, so it should be able to download that particular artifact. So I just have to find out that what is the version, what is the latest version we want to provide, and according to that the artifacts will be there and it will be executed. So there are some cases when we are using the default mechanism of creating a JUnit or a Maven project in Eclipse. Sometimes it actually uses an older version. So it was using 3.8.1 version, which is old version, so I'm using 4.0. So this source code is actually prepared according to 4.0, and the moment I started using that, the moment I tried on that one there, so you can see like here it got executed, like both the test cases got executed over here. I have got the response over here in this one, like these two test cases is being provided over here. So test run is 2, there is no failure, all good, and then ultimately it went on to the jar file preparation here. So this is a way like how the stub is actually going to it's going to call the particular specific classes. But yes, in this case we are just trying to input some values, some static values, which is not the real objects, but it's kind of a mock of an real objects. And that's how we are going to continue with our test cases, just to see like some inputs, if they are not there, we can still go for the testing and we can do the verification here. So this is a mechanism like how we can test out a stub to go to see like to understand like how the overall mocking is going to happen here. So that was the main implementation on how the stub can be implemented in the whole process, to see like how exactly we can go ahead with that. Now the next demo which we are going to talk about is like how we can full-fledged implement the complete Mockito code here, so that the end-to-end implementation of the mocking of real objects is what we can get over here in this one. So this will give us the complete insight about this whole process. Now first we will be creating a specific we are taking up a stock inventory kind of example over here. So we are going to create a Java file over here which is named as stock.java. So I'm just going to create a class file here called stock, and in that case we will be providing the content here. So I'm going to create a stock class which is having certain methods, certain functions. Stock is the main function which is available there. Now we have to create a particular interface which is going to be used to get the stock there, and then ultimately at last we will be getting a one test file which will be testing out this thing, the communication, see like if the Mockito is getting passed or the test case is getting passed or not. So this is the class file which is available there. Get stock ID, set stock ID. So basic getter and setters are being used over here in this case. So now I have to create a particular interface here with the name called stock service. And in this case I have to call the get price over there. So get price is basically configured over here in this one, right? So we are going to just call upon on that to see like how exactly it goes out there, right? So we will be utilizing this one. So this is the interface which is calling up the class called stock.java. Now once the stock main class and stock service or stock interface is being created, now we have to create a particular portfolio class here. This portfolio is a kind of interface which is going to consume this specific stock here. So portfolio class is what we are going to create here. So I'm just going to use it, and it's using some list operation. So I'm going to just import the java.util also, so that these can be imported. So these are some couple of activities like under this one we are also calling up the stock service interface, so that can be calling up the stock internally. And this is kind of a business logic which is happening. So portfolio.java is kind of a business logic, business layer, where I'm just trying to call the main class there to fetch the details through an interface. And in this one we are basically doing the all processing, like whatever the activities I'm trying to do. So here I'm doing the processing about the data here, right? So this is what we have from the source code perspective. Now we will be moving on to the test cases perspective, where we will be writing a test file to do the mocking over here and to get the stocks and try to do some verification. So now I'm going to create a particular portfolio tester here which will be testing this specific portfolio here. So that's what we are going to do, right? So it's going to use some of the Mockito related jar files here, and since we already have those dependencies, like we already got those added up to our pom.xml file. So and these are also being shown up as an Maven dependency here. So both 4.0 and this Mockito dependency is there in the Maven dependencies, and that's why we are not getting any errors for these imports here. And we are getting some list related errors, so let me import those also. and we should be fine by now here. So as you can see, like here we are, when we are doing the verification, right? So using this portfolio tester, we are actually inducing some stats. So here you can see like we are doing some setup. We are calling that stock service over here so that we will be able to call upon, or we will be able to get the information. And here we are actually putting up some content. So the whole idea why we are putting up this content, just to have the implementation. We are just trying to replicate real objects here. These are not the actual real configurations or the real information which we are getting from the end users, but these are the dummy informations or the dummy data which we are trying to provide here. And depending on that, we will be able to get like how it's going on there. So we are basically trying to call a function called tester.setup there. Tester.setup is what we are trying to call upon over here, which will set up the initial information. And then we are calling the test market value. So my test market value will basically give me a pass or fail kind of result set here, so that depending on that I can decide that whether it's successful or not. And this test market value, only here we are putting up some dummy informations, and against these dummy informations the test cases will be executed. So let's just run it. My build is already success, so I don't have to run it again there. So what I need to do is like I need to go for this portfolio tester.java here, so that I will be able to get the results. And here we go, we are getting the pass output over here in this one. Right, so this is what we are trying to do, just to see like how the implementation should be done there. I can go for a negative scenario, like where I can just a little bit modify something over here in the output, and I'm just trying to change a little bit of specific output. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I can definitely go and see like if this is something going to process properly, or is there any kind of problem which we are getting over here. I can also remove this decimal value just to see like if I'm getting successful over here or not. So I'm just running the test cases again, and here we go, we got the response as in failure, because the expected thing is not coming up, like whatever we are returning. So that's where the failure, it's going to for the failure. I'm going to roll back my things here and see like if it's again getting success or not. So yes, here we go, we got the pass success over here, the pass status over here in this one. So just like that, you can actually mock the objects, you can put some inputs, and according to that the responses will be coming up there, and you can go ahead with that particular mechanism. So this is the way that how the things really gets moved on when we talk about the Mockito, and how we can mock the real objects, and we can test out our application here. So that's what we do with the Mockito here. So that was a complete Mockito code, or you can say like complete demo over here, like how the overall process really gets implemented over here in this one. Right, now what are the different benefits of Mockito? Let's process that one by one. So the main benefits of Mockito is like, first of all, we'll get started with the very first one is like the no handwriting. So that's a very first benefit which is coming up over here. Now second one is the object creation. Third one is the safe refactoring. Then we have an exception support benefit which we get over here. Then we have got like the annotation support which is available there, and then the order support. So these are some couple of benefits which we got over here to completely understand like how exactly the particular Mockito can be really achieved over here in this one. Right, so this is the real benefits of Mockito here. So that's it for this, guys. So I hope you liked it. Thanks.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.